Jack is a great guy. He's written a fantastic book. Everybody's talking about it. Go get it. And he's been my friend right from the beginning of this whole beautiful event. And we're going to turn it around and make our country great again. Amen.
Jack Posobiec back, Human Events Daily. We've got Shane Cashman here from Timcast on the show. Shane, so we're talking about how ChatGPT and look, this is, and I'm not saying that I have any evidence that ChatGPT and Charlie and Tyler Robinson and there's any, direct connection there, but I have seen it brought up, right? I've seen it brought up in the connection between Tyler Robinson, Lance Twigs. They certainly did mention this sort of like former roommate and friend of theirs mentioned an obsession with ChatGPT. And all I'm saying is I want to see the logs. I'd love to see those logs. I hope that it comes out at trial if that's going to be an aspect of this. And, we'll see one way or the other. We'll see one way or the other whether or not it played a role, because we certainly know that other acts of extreme violence have been associated with these, especially when you talk about people who have mental illness and are associated with hallucinogenics, narcotics, hormones, all of this. And here's the other piece that I know you're working on a new series about this, that AI is not stopping. This is exploding, and it's having direct effects on our heartland, our Midwest, and our farmland.
Yeah, we're building a death machine. It's taking out our land, it's going to take out our jobs, and it's going to take out reality, which ties to our previous conversation about everyone buying into their false reality that the algorithm, that the chatbot is convincing them is more real than the physical world. But the data centers it's an invasion, and I think it's as important as an invasion, as dangerous as an invasion as illegals pouring over the border, because this is taking up all the farmland. It's taking up all this land that could be houses, and a lot of politicians, local politicians, are saying it's going to bring in jobs. That's a lie. Okay, they're going to be jobs temporarily because they need people to build them. But after they're built, it doesn't take a lot of people to run these things. Maybe 25. The largest one, I believe, right now has maybe 100 employees. Not going to bring in a lot of jobs. On top of that, it's going to start making people pay way more in water and electric. It's already happening. I've been talking to people the past few weeks who've seen they're paying double what they were paying a year ago, and their usage has not changed. And it's because they live around data centers. Data centers in one day can use up as much as 400,000, what 400,000 electric cars would use. They can drink up millions of gallons of water a day to keep these machines cool. And mind you, a lot of what these data centers are doing is building out and training the AI that's like laying this false reality on top of all of us. So, and the people who are building these things are literally saying, this is going to wipe out most jobs. So I think this is a real big problem. We should be talking about way more, because this is the final nail in the coffin of the middle class. We've already got it really bad. The prices are not going down yet. Job market's not great. And now we have this invasion happening, and we were watching farmlands die. Generational, legacy farms go out because they can't afford to be farms anymore. So they sell them to a lot of shell companies that are like the intermediaries for places like Meta. And now Jeff Bezos is getting into the game with Prometheus AI. And so there's this like land grab competition going on around the world. So much so, Jack, that they're already talking about how they're going to start building them in space because they might run out of the room. Seriously, they're talking about how they can send stuff into space that will assemble itself because they need more room for data centers.
There's so much you just said there. So you're talking about not only take out the farmland, but when you're talking about the electricity, you're not talking about future drains on the grid. You're talking about how they're taxing the grid now, and that's creating this huge supply and demand problem that's driving prices up, not in the future, but today. That your home prices, or your home electric usage, and those prices, the price of your, ohms per hour, et cetera, is going up because of the massive electric uses of the AI data centers today, right now.
Yes, we are funding our own destruction because we are paying for them to keep their machines cool. We're running out of water because their machines get so hot, they need to keep cooling them. I mean, it's an insane thing. To me, it really is an invasion. If you go around, like even near me right now, there's all this farmland. I just found out it's been sold to a data center. And the more I talk about this publicly, the more I'm getting articles from all around the country of people saying, hey, we don't know how this happened. They kind of circumnavigated our politicians and no one can say no. And then there it is. There's this giant warehouse and they're kicking out businesses like aluminum. We just talked about this on IRL as well. There's an aluminum factory, I believe, in Pennsylvania. They couldn't keep up with costs. They had to outsource send aluminum to Canada. And then a data center moved into the warehouse that was making the aluminum. So now we have to buy from Canada for our aluminum while we're soaking up all this energy here and making everyone around it pay for it way more.
Well, and of course, as you say, they're targeting rural areas because they need the space. And of course, the local politicians are saying, hey, we're more than happy to sell it to you. But the question is, nobody's really stepping back and saying, what is this actually doing to our country?
It's selling out the middle class. I mean, 100%. I understand that a lot of people our age are having a way hard time buying a house. It's really brutal out there. And then I understand the idea of the 50-year mortgage. I want to do something to help people be able to afford a house and have a community and have a family. I don't think that's the way, but that's neither here nor there. The problem is if they're buying up all the land, there's going to be no more places to build houses. Like we're running out of space. This is why they're talking about the moon becoming a data center. And then the fact that the people building these data centers and the people making the AI, they've been very open for 10 years. Elon, Altman, Thiel, they say this is going to have to, it's going to take away jobs. Just the other day, the CEO of Anthropic said this could wipe out half of the workforce. And to tie it to our previous conversation, his AI Claude was also just caught helping write ransom notes for murder for robbers and getting people involved in self-mutilation. So I'm like, why are we funding this thing if it's not good for, I think, literally anything? And look, I can understand there are some pros to AI and how it can help people with various things, maybe in medicine and stuff like that. But I think that the cons really outweigh any pros because it's really going to go after your sense of yourself, creativity, land, reality. And by the end, I mean, it's going to be a dystopia. We're going to be covered with black cubes and no one's going to have a real job. There's going to be no physical world. And we're going to be plugged into the metaverse, just playing whatever games they give us and slot.
And this, this really is the use case then you would say for why not have some kind of legislation. So if there were a legislative fix to this, what would you call for? What would you go for?
I really have a hard time with this question because I think it's too late. The only real fix we can have is if we and the people building it had any ethics, but I don't think they do. I think people do. I think a lot of us have our issues and we use it for various things that might not be good, like what we were talking about with these guys who are manipulated into crime. But I don't know how we're going to regulate it anymore. The part of the big beautiful bill had a 10-year moratorium on any changes to AI. And as much as I can agree with a lot of stuff in the bill, that was taken out and then it was kind of put back in. If you're going to say we can't touch AI for 10 years and we've already seen it accelerate and progress in the past 2 years, you can't even imagine what the next 5-10 years are going to look like. So, I know there's people within that community in Silicon Valley saying we need legislation. I haven't really heard answers as to how that's going to work because they kind of speak out of both sides of their mouth. Altman is saying, we're sorry that ChatGPT made your kid kill himself. On the other side of his mouth, he's saying, hey, I just made a sex bot for everybody 18 and over. And now just never leave your house, don't get married, and all that stuff. So I think the only real thing that could fix this is morality and ethics and people believing in humanity again. Because now that the genie's out of the bottle, there's no stopping it. And, Elon, for a lot of his flaws, he was saying that 10 years ago, and no one listened. He was saying this, there should be regulation, and they were looking for oversight on the people building the AI, but it's too late. The people who built the AI that everyone's using don't like us. They certainly don't like a lot of people on the dissident right, because they spoke out against a lot of narratives during lockdowns that the Silicon Valley people supported, and they censored everyone, including Trump. Like a Zuckerberg, So unfortunately, it's too late, but it's not too late for people to remind themselves that we can ethically use these things. It's just, I think it's a tall order.
I think it can be done. The fight, humanity versus unhumanity. Shane Cashman, where can people follow you, brother?
Thanks, man. You can find me online at Shane Cashman on Twitter and on Instagram. And the show is Inverted World Live. We're live every Monday through Thursday at 10 o'clock at night. Phone lines are open till midnight. Give us a call.
Give him a call, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.